Hi everybody, I am back after a long time of not being on here. Been a lot going on, but I'm hoping that I can start making videos at least once a month or so just to keep you updated on what I'm doing, because a lot of times it's easier, more interesting to actually watch it on video, which is a little bit better, I think, sometimes than seeing things just in a picture. So I'm going to start out with my first update for you. This is the Michael Jackson one that I said I was determined to work on and just plow through until I got him done, because I've been working on him off and on for probably a good, I'd say at least 4 or 5 years at least. So it's time for him to be done. And so I can get him framed and hopefully get him put in the state fair at some point, maybe the Hardin County Fair, we'll see. But here he is. So this is where he is at this point, and I am trying to get the microphone and glove finished. But if you see down here, this is what I'm working on right now. I'm trying to make his glove. Let's see if I can show it up close so you can see the glitter a little bit. I don't know if you can tell from that it glitters a little bit. That's called Blanc à Trois, which is just basically a sparkly white. And I just wanted to change out the white for that color, but then when I was talking to hubby, he said that he said, well, you know, the whole glove was sparkly, and I said that's true. So what I couldn't find in the diagram, the pattern, exactly where the outline of the glove ended, because it actually assigned a couple of different colors to the glove, not just white, but some other colors to give it some kind of a 3D look. Well, I'm going to do that all one color, but I'm trying, it's hard for me to see where it begins and where it ends. So I decided to go back through and do all of the darker colors that I know are not part of the glove and get those stitched. So I'm working down the side, and then I'm going to go back and finish up the microphone, and I'm going to leave the glove until the very last so that I know that all of the stuff that is left is simply glove. And then I can just go ahead and stitch all the rest of that in. Now, I'll show you one more thing. And when I first started this, I didn't calculate my fabric size correctly. And I do have some edge there, but it's not a whole lot. It's enough to frame. But down at the bottom, you can see there's not a whole lot left. However, on the pattern, there's still probably a good at least ½ an inch or so that is left, and it's just simply a little bit more of his shirt. It's a little bit more of the glove and microphone. So I don't know. We have an E-Town stitching group. It's called My Southern Porch, and I was talking to some of the ladies there, and a couple of them had said, well, why don't you just wait until you get this part finished and then see if you really need that last bottom part, because you may not actually need it. It may be okay the way it is. So that's what I'm going to wait on. So when I finish this part, I may be actually done. I may not have to do all of that bottom part because it just may not really be necessary. So we will see how that goes. So that's MJ. I did get some stash items. Stash is simply, it's things that you buy. I'm sorry, let me back up, because I'm thinking haul. When stitchers use the word haul, what they're saying is these are some things that they bought since the last time they were talking to their audience. So let me start with that first, which is haul. These are things that I have actually bought, which I kind of have to limit, even though I don't have a whole lot of fabric, but it looks like it may be better for me to buy fabric as I need it. I like to have a little bit in my stash, but it's probably better for me to buy it as I need it, because the things that I stitch are just such different sizes that I want to make sure that when I'm buying fabric that I'm very deliberate about it, because fabric can be expensive. Now, you can buy Aida cloth. Aida fabric is the stuff that you see a lot of stitchers use, especially beginners, where it's usually white and you have very clear holes and clear squares. The threads are it's very clear cut where you're supposed to stitch. When you get into more of what we call even weaves, which would be things like Lugana and Jobelan, they still have very defined squares, but it's smaller. It resembles linen a little bit more. And then of course you have linen. And even weave and linen get expensive. Now you can buy smaller pieces and they're not that expensive, but when you start getting into some of your larger pieces, especially if you are wanting to stitch samplers and things like that, that can get pricey, depending on, you know, how many inches of fabric that you want. I can buy Aida all day long. It's relatively cheap. So when I'm doing Michael's, what's called full coverage. So when you finish, I mean, every inch is covered with stitching. You are not going to see this fabric once it's framed. You're just going to see him. And so I see absolutely no reason to pay a higher amount of money for fabric that is not ever going to be seen once it's stitched. So when I do full coverage, I do it on Aida because it doesn't matter anyway, and it's cheaper. Now, if I'm working on something else where you have little things stitched on there, but you're going to see the fabric as part of the background, that's when you want to get a little more choosy. So I have bought some pieces here. This I have not stitched on Jobelan. I've stitched on Lugana, and I like it very much. The Irish poem that I did, the Old Irish Blessing, that was on Lugana, and that was my first experience with that, and that was very pleasant to stitch on. This is a 28 count. This is the color is called Mixed Berry. This is Jobelan. I haven't stitched on Jobelan. It's an 8" by 12", so it's a small piece of fabric. So you do a small piece on it, but it's got some little threads on it. I'm gonna see if I can hold it up where you can actually see the color. Well, it's like kind of a blue color, but it's got patches of purple in it. Sometimes the camera can't catch the color very well, but it's a blue and purple. It doesn't look like it's, the way the lighting is, it's not catching it well. But you see, it didn't cost me that much, but it's also a fairly small piece of fabric. This is a 28 count. This color is called Watercress, and it's also Jobelan. It's an 8 by 12. So I'll find something cute to stitch on this. It's a green color, kind of a mottled green color. And I showed you some of the other new things I got last time, so that's pretty much it. But let's see, I think that's it for the haul. The stash I want to show you. I showed you this before. This is actually linen. This is a 28 count. This color is opal. This is the one that I really liked because it's purple. And I love my purple. This one's showing up pretty well. I don't know if this, yeah, that shows it a little bit better. And it's got kind of a mottled look to it. I thought, I want to stitch something on it, but this one, it's an 18 by 26, but there are a couple of pieces I really wanted to stitch on here. I was thinking about stitching my Mirabilia, my pretty lady, on there, but she's going to take it right to the edge, and I just really don't want to do that again. So I decided, this is something that's called Windrose Mandela by D&D Designs. And so what I thought I would do with this is, you can stitch it in one color, but I think what I'm going to do with this, since I've got this purple, is to take maybe a really pretty, like a pastel, like a really pretty blue, a green, and a pink. Take those three colors and then just use those as my color theme for that and stitch it on this. So I think that will look pretty good. And this one, this is small enough where it will easily fit on this, and I won't have to worry about going all the way to the edge with it. Okay, now I'm a little disappointed because I used to like to get a cross stitch magazine called Cross Stitch Crazy. Well, this is my opinion, okay? I think that the better cross stitch magazines come out of the UK. The UK, that they are obsessed with cross stitch like we in the United States are obsessed with quilting. That's how much it is. And so they have really nice cross stitch magazines, but that one was my favorite. I thought that one, when you buy a magazine there, now those magazines are expensive, but you get a lot of really cute patterns in there. I thought they were really, really nice patterns that, to me, it was worth the money to spend. Well, I didn't see it last time I checked in Barnes & Noble. I actually need to check online and see if they're actually still producing copies. They may not be in production anymore, for all I know. But there's another magazine out of the UK called The World of Cross Stitching. It's okay. It's pretty good. I don't think it's as good as Cross Stitch Crazy, but normally when you buy these magazines and you pay a little bit more than you would here in the States, they typically will put little kits with them too, so that also makes it worthwhile. So I'm going to show you this. I can't show you actual patterns because of copyright issues, but this is the front of the magazine, so you can see that cute little pattern, and this one's actually in the magazine, so that's cute. They have a lot of what? Picture of the bird. They have pillows that you can make in here. Just all kinds of cutesy little things, but these patterns are just, they're not quite as good as Cross Stitch Crazy. So that's a little disappointing, but I'm going to check into it to see if they've actually stopped production. However, they did put a little hedgehog card kit. They included that in there. So there's a little hedgehog, and it has the card with it, and it also gives you the floss. And there's also one, this is a cuter little hedgehog. This is also a card. Cute. So yeah, this is my speed. I like these. If I'm going to do a small one, I like doing things like that. So I will probably have some fun stitching those. But again, I was a little disappointed with my magazine. As far as magazines in the States go, a lot of my fellow stitchers like just cross stitch. I'm not too crazy about it because it has a lot of patterns in there, but they're not really patterns I enjoy doing. They don't do anything for me. So I did go to embroidery.com, which I'm in their Facebook group too, and I bought a couple of back issues of Stony Creek Cross Stitch. Stony Creek, actually, I think is the best cross stitch magazine in the States. I don't think they're as good as the UK, but they're pretty good. I ordered this one. I saw this pattern on the front. I was like, hey, squee. So I like this one. It's got the little animals on it, and it's got all creatures great and small, the Lord God made them all. So this issue, I looked through it, and it has a lot of religious stuff in it. I do like some religious stuff. I don't want to stitch it all the time because I like a variety of things. But let's see. Let me see if I can find another, just some cute things in there. Let's see. Let me turn this around. See? And then that one's in there. So they have some very cute patterns. So I would like to stitch some things out of there. And this is the winter 2021. I think this might be their next to latest one possibly. So I thought that was really cute. So they've got several, even have a little shamrock pattern in there. So they've got some cute stuff in here. I'll probably stitch some of that stuff. So I'm looking forward to that, which reminds me that I do need to buy some magazine holders, because I did go through some of my magazines and just take out the patterns that I felt like I would stitch, but I really don't want to ruin my magazines like that. I'd like to keep them intact. So I'm going to need to find holders that I can put in here in my craft room as well. Okay. I have let's see, this first needle minder, I was in the embroidery.com's Love to Stitch challenge back in February, and if you finish that challenge, you have to stitch like so many days, and you have to post your progress on their Facebook page, and you get a needle minder. So a needle minder is a magnet, usually like a decorative magnet, where you can just let your needle rest until you're ready to pick it up and use it again. So this was this year's Love to Stitch. I've got last year's too, but I thought this was neat, and it has purple on it. So I thought that was awesome. But that's the current one. And then this next one has a little story behind it. I have a friend who's, I mean, we don't hang out all the time or anything, but she and I have worked on some things in the past and talked quite a bit. But she, one day, her child came in, and because I had him in class, and he gave me this little package, and I looked at it, and there was a needle minder in there from her. So she got me this needle minder. And if you remember, I don't know, some of you may not know, back in the 90s, and this is actually when I started teaching, there was a computer game called Oregon Trail. And a lot of my students loved playing Oregon Trail. And when you played Oregon Trail, it's like you were a settler and you were traveling on the Oregon Trail, and you had choices to make along the way, and you're trying to survive. And so if you made certain choices, of course, you ended up not doing so well. And sometimes it would just pop up and say, "You have died of dysentery." And that was kind of the running joke, because it would just, dysentery seemed to be something a lot of people died of in that game. So when I got this, I just rolled. This was hilarious. But this is the needle minder that she got me, which says, "You have died of dysentery." I loved it. So I will be using this needle minder quite a bit when I start my rotation. I need to keep it away from the Love to Stitch one, because they're wanting to attract together. Okay, now this thing that I'm showing you, actually, let me show you this. So there are things called thread drops, and I decided after watching Jean Ferris, she does a lot of Flosstube videos, and she's a cross-stitch designer. She's been designing for about 40 years now. And she uses thread drops to sort and store her thread. And thread drops look like this. It looks like a little teardrop. So you write your number of your color number on here, and then you just use it in a loose knot, and it just hangs. So I have a system in my closet that I'm going to use to hang these up, because I've used bobbins before where you just wrap it around a little bobbin. But the cool thing about this is that you can take your needle and you can pull out one little thread and pull it out, and you'll have the exact length that you need. Now, here's how I get the exact length. She showed this little mechanism that she uses, and she just made it out of cardboard. And so I thought, that's really cool. And I showed Steve, because I was interested in having that, and I thought I would try to make it. Well, he decided he was going to make it for me. So he made me kind of a crude, like, cardboard thing, and it did the job, but he was not happy with that. So he made me a sturdier cardboard one. I thought, oh, okay, this is awesome. So I was going to use it, and then he didn't say anything to me, but he had already decided that that was not going to be good enough, because next month I am going on a cross-stitch retreat, and his wife is going to have to go in style. He already decided that. So he made me a real, I mean, this is like a mega thing. And I tried to explain to him that this is not something I'll use every day, but it definitely is really cool. I'm taking it with me to show it off to the other people there. But this is it. He put Carlos cross stitch, and he's got a cow. And then over here, he put some more cow stickers on it. Easily distracted by cows. And what this thing is, it has grooves, okay? Hang on just a second. I'm going to shut the door because I see him coming in. I didn't want him to barge in. Okay. So sorry. Okay, so it has a groove on the end of it. So what you do is you wrap your thread around and around and around, and then at the top, and if I kind of shake it, these scissors come out. He's got magnets in there, and you take the scissors, once you've wrapped it around, this is 15 inches, but when you wrap it around and around, and then you cut it at one point, you just take your scissors and you just cut it. You have long strands that are 30 inches long. Now, the desired length to stitch with is 15 inches. I do what's called a loop method, so you actually, take your strand and then you fold it up together and then you start stitching. So when I fold up a 30-inch length, it gives me 15. Perfect. So that's what this is. So I will be taking this with me. I thought that was pretty awesome. And when you get, once you cut it, this is what you get. You get this length, and then you can put it on your floss or your thread drop, and then you're ready to go. And hopefully they won't take as much room as the bobbins, so we'll see how that goes. Okay, and then the last thing I want to talk about is once I get MJ done, then I'm going to start a rotation, which I've been wanting to do, and I'm chomping at the bit to do because I'm ready to do different things. So what I thought I would do is work on one project each week for 4 weeks, have 4 projects going. As soon as I finish one, replace it with something else. But I thought I'm going to kind of sort these into categories, so I'm doing different types of things all the time. So the first one I thought would be gifts for other people, whether it's Christmas gift or cards or whatever it happens to be. So do that. And then another rotation will be my large piece. So it'll be some kind of probably full coverage thing. Like I'm really wanting to try heaven and earth design, because those things, it's like they take paintings that people have actually done or some type of artwork and they turn it into cross stitch pattern. Yeah. So my large pieces in one rotation. And then one rotation I'd like to do ornaments, because I haven't really been into seasonal stuff, but I would like to do some of that. And I'd like maybe a little tree, maybe a 3-foot tree, 2-foot tree, something, just like a little tree, not something huge. But put ornaments on there based on what season it is. But I have to make the ornaments. So I thought I would put that in a rotation. And I want that little tree in my craft room so I can look at it. And then my fourth one will be smaller pieces. Nothing that's full coverage or anything, but just like when I was showing you like the little hedgehog things, that kind of thing. Do smaller pieces and just have that be my rotation, and then I can update you as I go. So that's kind of where I am right now. And it looks like I'm going to try to teach my niece how to cross stitch. I asked her if she wanted to learn, and she said yes. She's already somewhat familiar with embroidery, so I may have to teach her virtually because we don't live close together, so we'll see how that goes. But I can definitely use the skills that I learned teaching my students virtually over the past year and do that to teach her cross stitch. So some of the videos I may post on here will simply be showing how to cross stitch. So if you don't know how to cross stitch and maybe you're interested, you may be able to learn to cross stitch if you want to through the videos that I do. Of course, I'll have to have a little bit more in my setup than I do right now. So I'm going to try to maybe get a ring light and just set it up where I can actually show my hands doing the stuff so that you can see what in the world's going on. So we'll see how that goes. All right, well, that is it for now. I'm right at 25 minutes, and these things seem to get longer all the time. But maybe each month, once a month, it won't be too much. But anyway, I hope that you all are creative. So be creative and be blessed, and I will see you all later. Bye, everybody.